Welcome to the Church of Thomas. Stand Tall, 625:10. We're going to start with a reading first. It's Matthew 9, 1 through 8. Jesus stepped into a boat, crossed over, and came to his own town. Some men brought to him a paralytic lying on a mat. When Jesus saw their faith, he said to the paralytic, "Take heart, son, your sins are forgiven." At this, some of the teachers of the law said to themselves, "This fellow is blaspheming." Knowing their thoughts, Jesus said, "Why do you entertain evil thoughts in your hearts, when it is easier to say, 'Your sins are forgiven,' or to say, 'Get up and walk'? But so that you may know that the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sin." Then he said to the paralytic, "Get up, take your mat, and go home." And the man got up and went home. Then the crowd saw this, and they were filled with awe, and they praised God, who had given such authority to men. I think it's important to understand that people who are paralyzed or are disabled in some way, and especially paraplegics and quadriplegics, are not viewed as full individuals a lot of times, because standing tall, seeing someone eye to eye, is a mark of adulthood. It means that there is a problem in our perception. If we look down towards somebody, then we look down on them. We see them as less than we are. A lot of our leaders are much taller than we are because we look up to them. If we admire somebody, oftentimes they will appear taller just because of the authority that they project. Now, this is interesting because there's some technology that has recently come out that has hope for the people who have basically been disenfranchised of their own adulthood. They are adults, they're just not treated as such. There was a news story recently, and it was about a mechanical aiding device to help people stand up. Basically, it attached to the legs and the hips and guided and synchronized the motions so that they could actually take steps and learn how to walk again with this aid. It wasn't a cane, it wasn't a walker, and it definitely wasn't a wheelchair. It's a great technology, and I think it's wonderful that they're starting to come out with this sort of thing. Now, earlier, about 10 years ago, Dean Kamen also came out with something for people who obviously do not have the ability to use this lower extremity paralysis aid. And what it was a wheelchair that basically could go upstairs. It had a modified wheel system so that it basically was like a tractor. It gained momentum and canted the chair in such a way that you were always on the level. In addition to this device that he invented raised the person up. When you're in a wheelchair, most adults would be looking towards you downward. What this wheelchair did is that it had an accordion-shaped bottom that would lift the entire seat part, depending on how far you wanted to go, so that you were looking eye to eye with any individual that you needed to get to. It also meant that if you had devices that could reach for things for you, or you could reach for things, it raised you to a height that, I could get on a step stool, but they can't. By raising them up, it accesses counter space, dining tables, counters, and storage cabinets above the sink. I mean, a lot of times those are inaccessible to the average individual. This person would be able to do this. I think that we should all embrace this kind of technology because it's an equalizer. It helps people to regain their, not just mobility, but standard of life and their standard of adulthood. they are not limited in their productivity to just being a cripple. They are becoming people who are adult, who have different abilities. And I think this is a marvelous technology, and as Jesus would say, it is easier to say, get up and walk. God bless the whole world, no exceptions. Angel Eliza.